Okay, these are the settings for both channels, C1 and C2, indicated here, C1 and C2. We'll only go into C1, C2 is the same thing, so this is for channel 1. So if we go up into channel 1, C1, which is indicated here, you've got an on and an off. These are the intermediate times between sunset, where it's switched on at sunset, and then switched off at sunrise. You may want it to, in between those times, not be on all night. As an example, comes on in the winter at 4 o'clock and switches off at 7 o'clock, then comes back on at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then will switch off again at 8 o'clock. Now this is different in summer. The times change as it's going throughout the year, but in winter, under normal circumstances, the off and the on periods are the same. Now that's in the default setting is means it's disabled, so it will switch on at sunset, stay on all night, and switch off at sunrise, unless you set the off and the on times here in C1 and C2 differently. The on off, if you press the next one is on, they're both the same, which means it's disabled. The next one you press takes you to the day emit, so it just cycles round all three of those. So that's all you've got in channel 1 and channel 2, 3 settings. Now say you want to set this is at now 12 o'clock, so you want it to go switch off at 7 o'clock, so you go back to 1900, that's 7 o'clock in the afternoon, evening of course. You go to 1900, accept that with enter, it goes to the on is still set there. You now go forward with on until 6 o'clock. Now there's something about this that it prevents you from going too far. You can't go further than 8:15 because that is the latest sunrise, and you can't go back before around 1600, because that's roughly the earliest sunrise. So if we go back, set this at 1600, I'll just go past this for the moment, go back to the off period. I'll show the off period. If we go back further, the off period goes 1545, not 1600, 1545. That's the earliest period that you can go. Take this back to 1900. So now it goes off at 1900, back on at 6 o'clock in the morning. Now here, all these days are set by these bars. If you want to turn off, for example, Saturday and Sunday, that turns off Saturday and Sunday. However, this only refers to the settings in channel 1. It doesn't refer to the settings of astro sunrise and sunset. It will still switch on at sunrise and sunset. For some reason, there's no day emit. It's still got to be 7 days a week. Why they done that is a bit of a mystery, because all their old mechanical clocks had day emits that would work on the solar switching for any day of the week. These day emits don't work on the solar switching, they only work on the intermediate off-on switching, which isn't brilliant. We'll go back here. This is the off, again the off period 1900, on period 6 in the morning. So I'll switch that. Now if you look at this, it's 2031. Channel 2 hasn't been touched. It's coming on and off at sunrise and sunset. But channel 1 on the 5th day, it's now Friday, so it's showing Friday. It's 2031. So it would have gone on at some point about this time of year, is probably around 6:30 or something, and it would have gone off at 7 o'clock. That will stay off until 6 o'clock in the morning, where it will come back on, and whatever solar time it will switch off. Now the thing about this is as it gets into summer, that all changes. Instead of switching on at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, sunset changes as it goes into summer, and it becomes it switches on more at around 7:30, 9 o'clock. Same in the morning. Instead of switching off at on the solar at about 8 o'clock, it switches off more around 5 o'clock. The thing is, now everything is the other way round. So you've got an off period, an off setting at 1900, and now the on setting, instead of being before 1900, is after 1900. It's around 2030. Again, in the morning, instead of the on period happening before the off period, now as it switches on in the morning, it switches off in the morning. It will switch off before 6 o'clock. So 6 o'clock will switch on. The off switching is now before 6 o'clock, not after 6 o'clock. Now, if this was a normal setting, what would now happen is everything would reverse the other way round. And instead of being on for a couple of hours in the afternoon, evening, and on for a couple of hours in the morning, those on-off periods would swap round. Those periods, short periods of on times, become off times, and those longer periods where they should be off would be on. However, this takes that into account. So what happens is in the summer periods, after 7 o'clock, where it would have switched off, it prevents the solar switch on at 8:30. In other words, it doesn't switch on at all in the evening. When it comes round to the morning, where you would normally in the winter have a switch on at 6 o'clock and a switch off at 8 o'clock or 8:30, roughly, because the switch off period now in the summer is around 5 o'clock, at 6 o'clock it won't switch on. It's programmed to calculate the switch on, the normal switch on and switch off periods, the solar switch off and switch on periods, with the manually set switch off and switch on periods, the intermediate set periods, to allow for summer and winter operation. Much the same thing happens with the mechanical clocks, but in a different way. That wasn't that easy to explain, and I hope I understand it when I replay it, and anybody else understands it. Right, that's it.